Ecosystem game. Rules recap. In the previous video of this McKinsey Solved Game playlist, I revealed to you the winning strategies for succeeding at the ecosystem game. In this video, I provide a short recap of the ecosystem game rules and strategies. If you have watched the previous video, you can also decide to skip this one and straight go to the next video for interactively practicing and solving a complete ecosystem game scenario yourself. In any case, I invite you to download my free consulting online test prep kit, in which I have compiled for you many links to free resources on the McKinsey PSG and other online tests on more than 20 pages. If you want to pass the McKinsey Solved test safely, I recommend you to check out the professional McKinsey Solved prep kit developed by a third-party provider, for which you only need to pay if you actually pass the test. All the links you find in the video description below this video. A quick recap of the objectives and rules of the ecosystem placement game. In the ecosystem game, you have to build and place a sustainable ecosystem either within a coral reef or mountain ridge environment. Both scenario types are almost completely equivalent to each other. Just for this part's video theme, let us go maritime. Yes, that feels so appropriate. During your ecosystem game, you have 35 minutes of playtime to achieve two objectives. Objective number 1, select 8 species that together form a sustainable food chain in which every species survives. That means it neither dies of hunger or is fully eaten up. Objective number 2, select a location in the environment dealt to you, coral reef or mountain ridge, that allows these 8 species to survive together. During the untimed tutorial at the beginning of the game, you will be explained how to execute these two tasks. For the species selection, on the left of your screen, you will find a long list of so-called producers and animals. In fact, I spoil for you that in every ecosystem game, you will be dealt exactly 39 species. 30 of each species will be animals, and 9 of each species will be so-called producers. From this list of species, you will need to select your 8 species that you believe can together form a sustainable food chain. Each species in the game is described by a profile card. If you are assigned the coral reef scenario for your game, then the animal cards will have the following structure. Following the species name, there will always be an image and then a list with 6 pieces of information. So in this example, the animal blue sea star would be featured by an image, followed by information on its calories needed and provided, the depth and temperature range it can live in, as well as its predators and food sources. I will say more on how you need to use these data in a moment. Then there also is an Add button. If you click it, you select this animal as one of the 8 glorious species you want to select, but no worries, you can undo this choice. The species images are completely useless. In fact, they are even harmful in the sense that they take up space on your screen so that you can view only 2 species cards at a time without scrolling. Now, let us turn to the producers and take a look at cylinder kelp. You realize it almost looks the same as Blue Sea Star's animal card, but there are 2 important differences between all animals and producers. While animals always need to consume calories, the calories needed of all producers in the game are always 0, since they feed on generic food sources such as waste or sunlight. Let us focus on the food consumption part for the moment. Whether a producer or an animal, the species calories needed, calories provided, eaten by information and their food sources are all relevant for building the sustainable food chain, or the first objective of the game. Now, how do you build your sustainable food chain of 8 species? During the tutorial at the start of the game, you will be presented the food chain eating rules, but it is important that you familiarize yourself with them now, before your solve test. In my previous solve tutorial video, I talked you through these food chain rules in detail. In this video, I offer you a briefer recap in a moment, but if you want to refresh your memory about these detailed rules, feel free to pause the video for a moment to read them. I resume for a summary. Put in a nutshell, Each of your 8 species selected will eat once during the course of the game. The species with the highest calories provided will eat first. Among its food sources that are present within the 8 species you have selected, it will turn to the food source with the highest calories provided, whose calories provided will be diminished by the calories needed of its predator. Afterwards, the next species in line to eat is the species with the currently highest calories provided until all 8 species have eaten. If at any point during the feast the calories needed of a predator exceed the calories provided by its food source, the food source dies. And you immediately lose the game, since your food chain is not sustainable. The predator may continue eating from a second food source. It will die too if it cannot fully satisfy its hunger. In my previous video, I also took you through an example to demonstrate you how the food chain rules play out in practice, but trust me, we will go way deeper on this later. So, to win the ecosystem game and for successfully passing this first part of McKinsey's solved test, you must identify 8 species that together can form a sustainable food chain. Be aware that there is no embedded support tool in the game assisting you with the food chain calculations whatsoever. You are only presented with this long list of 39 animal producer cards and then expected to somehow derive your solution from them. But don't worry, I teach you how to smoothly do this. Now, let us turn to the second objective of the game and discuss how to select a suitable location for your ecosystem. If we look at one of the profile cards again, the 2 environmental conditions parameters determine within which depth and temperature ranges the species, or here the blue sea star, is able to live. Closing the species profile cards for a moment, the main part of your screen or interface will actually be covered with ocean water. In the top right of the screen, however, you will find your environmental condition monitors. In the coral reef scenario, you should see a list of 7 environmental condition parameters here. As an unnecessary game complication, you can only see the parameter values of up to 4 environmental condition monitors at a time, namely those whose boxes you have ticked. Each pixel on your screen, or the ocean, corresponds to a different set of parameter values, so the environmental conditions vary with each pixel. To choose a location for your ecosystem of 8 species, you just need to click somewhere on your screen and submit that pixel as your chosen location for the game. So, for instance, if you want the giant octopus be part of your 8 species, you should make sure that at the pixel or location on the screen you choose, the depth is between 31 to 40 meters and the temperature between 23.8 to 27 degrees Celsius, so that your octopus can thrive. Of course, you want to choose a location where not just the giant octopus, but all 8 species you will select can survive. And if you wonder if an octopus can really survive at a depth of 35 meters in water that is 24 degrees Celsius warm, well, not really. I checked that they live at sea depths of 800 to 4000 meters, where temperatures range from 10 to 1 degree Celsius. Please remember that you applied to McKinsey as a business consultant. Do not mistake McKinsey's ecosystem game for a zoology exam. It's not. On a further note, in the coral reef scenario that we are assuming here, the other 5 environmental condition parameters do not matter at all. They are just white noise designed to confuse you. The species here only care about depth and temperature. However, if you are not dealt the coral reef scenario, but instead the mountain ridge scenario, then there are some tiny differences. First, the environmental conditions will carry some different labels. And of course, you might not find a sea star or seaweed, but possibly an iron eagle. There's only one difference that really matters though. Each species in the mountain ridge scenario will come with 2 extra environmental parameters. I spoil for you though, these 2 additional parameters will exhibit the same values across all 39 species in your game. So they bloat your game a little more, but do not really increase the level of difficulty or complexity of your game. Only elevation and temperature ranges vary across the species to some extent. More on that later. However, when you select the location of your ecosystem in the mountain ridge scenario, you must choose a location that complies with the parameter ranges of these two additional parameters too. Otherwise, all your species would immediately die and we want them to survive. So this would be a suitable location for the iron eagle to survive. You see that the coral reef and mountain ridge scenarios virtually pose the same challenges. So for this video, I stick to the coral reef version of the species cards just to save some space on the screen. I want to leave my recap of the game setup and rules here. If you felt I went too fast, believe me, everything and more will become clear in the following interactive ecosystem game training session. Ecosystem game. Interactive mock game simulation.